Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Our first story is titled, My Wife's Friend Tried to Make Her Doubt Our Marriage. I'm still processing everything that's happened over the past few months, but I feel like I need to get it out. Maybe it'll help me make sense of it all. So here goes. I'm Carl, 34 years old, and I've been married to my wife, Trinity, for 5 years now. We met in college and hit it off right away. Trinity is smart, funny, and kind. Everything I could want in a partner. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but overall, our marriage has been solid. At least that's what I thought until Trinity's old friend Jess came back into the picture. Jess and Trinity had been close in high school, but drifted apart when they went to different colleges. They kept in touch sporadically over social media, but hadn't seen each other in person for years. That changed about 6 months ago when Jess moved back to our city for a new job. Trinity was excited to reconnect with her old friend. At first, I was happy for her. Trinity works from home as a freelance graphic designer, so I knew she sometimes felt isolated. Having an old friend back in her life seemed like a good thing. For the first couple of months, everything seemed fine. Trinity and Jess would meet up for coffee or lunch once a week or so. Trinity would come home energized from catching up with her friend, but then things started to change. It was subtle at first. Trinity began making little comments here and there that felt off. Jess was telling me about this amazing vacation she took to Bali last year. When was the last time we went on a real vacation, Carl? She asked me one night over dinner. I frowned, caught off guard. Well, we went to the beach last summer, remember? That was fun. Trinity shrugged. I guess, but Jess was saying how important it is for couples to have new experiences together regularly. Keeps things exciting, you know. I didn't think much of it at the time, but looking back, that was the start of it all. The comments kept coming, each one chipping away at my confidence in our relationship bit by bit. Jess's boyfriend surprises her with flowers every week. Isn't that sweet? Jess was saying how she and her ex used to have date night twice a week without fail. Maybe we should try that. Did you know Jess and her boyfriend have a joint checking account? She says it really helps them stay on the same page financially. It was death by 1,000 cuts. Each individual comment seemed harmless enough, but the steady stream of comparisons to Jess's apparent perfect relationship was starting to get to me. I tried to brush it off at first. I told myself Trinity was just excited about having her friend back and maybe going through a bit of grass is greener syndrome. It would pass, but it didn't pass. If anything, it got worse. About 3 months after Jess came back into our lives, Trinity started spending more and more time with her. Their weekly coffee dates turned into 2 to 3 times a week. Then Trinity started going out with Jess and her friends on weekends. Don't get me wrong, I had no problem with Trinity having a social life outside our marriage, but the frequency and the way she talked about their outings started to bother me. Oh, Jess introduced me to this great new cocktail bar in town. We should go sometime. Although you probably wouldn't like it, it's pretty trendy, she said dismissively after one of their nights out. I try to keep my cool. I might surprise you. I can be trendy, I joked weakly. Trinity just gave me a pitying look. Sure, honey. The Trinity I knew would never have spoken to me like that. She was always kind and considerate of my feelings. This new Trinity felt like a stranger sometimes. As the weeks went by, Jess's influence became more and more apparent. Trinity started criticizing things about our life that she'd never complained about before. One day, she came home from a shopping trip with Jess, arms laden with bags from expensive boutiques. Jess convinced me to treat myself, she said with a slightly guilty smile. She says I've been dressing too mommish lately. I frowned. What's wrong with how you dress? I think you always look beautiful. Trinity rolled her eyes. You have to say that Jess says it's important for women to keep up their appearance even after marriage. She thinks letting yourself go is the first step to a stale relationship. I bit back a retort. Trinity had always been confident in her appearance. Where was this sudden insecurity coming from? Another time, Trinity came home from a dinner with Jess looking thoughtful. Jess was telling me about this couples therapy retreat she went on with her ex, she said casually. It sounded really interesting. They did all these exercises to improve communication and reignite the spark. I felt a knot form in my stomach. Do you think we need something like that? Trinity shrugged. I don't know. Jess says all couples can benefit from it even if they're not having problems. Maybe we should consider it? I try to keep the irritation out of my voice. I think our communication is fine, and I didn't realize our spark needed reigniting. Trinity looked hurt. I'm just saying it might be good for us. Why are you being so defensive? I took a deep breath, trying to calm down. I'm not being defensive. I just don't think we need to fix what isn't broken. The incidents kept piling up. Trinity started questioning every aspect of our life together, always with Jess's opinions as the catalyst. Jess says it's weird that we don't have a 5-year plan. Don't you think we should be setting some goals? Jess thinks it's sweet that you cook dinner sometimes, but she says it's important for men to contribute equally to household chores. Do you think you do your fair share? Each comment felt like a tiny barb, slowly eroding my confidence in our relationship. I started to dread hearing Jess's name in conversation. Things came to a head about a month ago. Trinity had gone out with Jess and some other friends for a girls' night. She came home later than usual, a little tipsy and in a strange mood. Have a good time? I asked, trying to keep my tone light despite the knot of anxiety in my stomach. Trinity flopped down on the couch next to me. Yeah, it was fun. Jess's friends just got engaged. Her fiance proposed on a hot air balloon ride at sunset. Can you imagine? I felt my jaw clench. Sounds nice, I managed. Trinity sighed dramatically. It really does. She was showing off her ring. It's gorgeous, at least 3 carats. I couldn't help myself. Are you saying you're not happy with your ring? The words came out sharper than I intended. Trinity looked startled, then defensive. What? No, I didn't say that. I was just admiring her ring, that's all. Seems like you admire a lot about other people's relationships lately, I muttered. Trinity's eyes narrowed. What's that supposed to mean? And just like that, we were fighting. All the tension and resentment that had been building over the past few months came pouring out. It means I'm sick of hearing about how great Jess's life is, I snapped. How her boyfriend does this, how her friends' fiancés do that. It feels like nothing I do is good enough anymore. Trinity's face flushed with anger. That's ridiculous. I'm just sharing things with you. Excuse me for wanting to talk about my life. Your life or the life Jess is telling you that you should want? Trinity recoiled like I slapped her. How dare you? Jess is my friend. She wants what's best for me. Does she? Because from where I'm sitting, it seems like she's trying to make you doubt our marriage. The moment the words left my mouth, I knew I'd crossed a line. Trinity's eyes filled with tears. I can't believe you said that, she whispered. Jess would never do that. She supports me. Maybe if you supported me as much as she does, I wouldn't need to spend so much time with her. With that, she stormed off to our bedroom and slammed the door. I spent a sleepless night on the couch, replaying the fight in my head. Had I overreacted? Was I being paranoid? But the more I thought about it, the more convinced I became that something wasn't right with this situation. The next morning, Trinity and I exchanged stilted apologies. We both agreed we'd said things we didn't mean in the heat of the moment, but there was a new tension between us, a chasm that hadn't been there before. Over the next couple of weeks, I tried to pay closer attention to Trinity's interactions with Jess. I'm not proud of it, but I started checking Trinity's phone when she left it unattended. I never found anything incriminating, no messages bad-mouthing me or our marriage, but there was a constant stream of messages from Jess peppered with phrases like, "You deserve better," and "Don't settle." One message in particular caught my eye. Jess had sent Trinity a link to an article titled 10 Signs You're in a Dead-End Relationship, with a comment, "Thought of you when I saw this. Food for thought." I felt sick to my stomach. It was all so subtle, so carefully worded, that I could see why Trinity didn't recognize it for what it was. But to my eyes, it was clear. Jess was systematically trying to undermine Trinity's faith in our marriage. I noticed other things too. Jess had started tagging Trinity in social media posts about living your best life and not settling for less than you deserve. She'd leave comments on Trinity's photos saying things like, "You look amazing. Good thing Carl knows how lucky he is, right?" The implication being, of course, that I didn't appreciate Trinity enough. I knew I had to do something, but I wasn't sure what. If I confronted Trinity directly, she'd probably just accuse me of being jealous or controlling. I needed proof. An opportunity presented itself about a week later. Trinity mentioned that Jess had invited us both over for dinner at her place. She seemed surprised but pleased that Jess had included me in that invitation. I decided to use this chance to observe Jess in action and hopefully get Trinity to see what was really going on. The night of the dinner, I was on high alert. Jess greeted us at the door of her sleek downtown apartment with a big smile and air kisses. "Trinity, darling, you look amazing," she gushed, before turning to me with a noticeably cooler expression. "Carl, so glad you could make it." As we settled in the living room with glasses of wine, Jess dominated the conversation. She regaled us with stories of her exciting job, her world travels, and of course, her perfect relationship. "Brad and I are thinking of buying a vacation home in the Bahamas," she said casually. "Where did you two go on your last vacation again?" "Oh, that's right. Trinity mentioned you went to the beach. How quaint." I saw Trinity shift uncomfortably next to me. "It was a nice trip," she said defensively. "We had fun, right, Carl?" I nodded, squeezing Trinity's hand. "We did. Sometimes the simplest things are the best." Jess's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. "Of course, if that's what you enjoy. I just think life's too short not to experience everything it has to offer, you know." Throughout dinner, Jess kept up a steady stream of not-so-subtle digs at our relationship. "Trinity, honey, you look tired. Are you getting enough sleep? I know Carl's snoring used to keep you up. Have you considered separate bedrooms? Brad and I swear by it." "Oh, Carl, you're still at the same company? That's admirable. Loyalty is so rare these days, of course. Brad says sometimes you have to take risks to really advance your career." "Trinity, remember when we used to talk about backpacking through Europe? You should do it. I'm sure Carl wouldn't mind if you took a solo trip. It's healthy for couples to have separate interests." Each comment felt like a tiny knife, skillfully wielded to create doubt and dissatisfaction. I could see Trinity becoming more and more withdrawn as the night went on. Finally, as we were finishing dessert, Jess dropped the bomb I'd been waiting for. "Oh, Trinity," she said, her voice dripping with fake concern. "I've been meaning to ask, are you happy? Really happy?" Trinity looked startled. "What do you mean?" Jess reached across the table to pat Trinity's hand. "It's just you seem different lately, less vibrant. I worry that maybe you're not living up to your full potential, that maybe you're settling." I saw red. This was it. The moment Jess showed her true colors, I opened my mouth ready to let her have it, but Trinity beat me to it. "Settling?" Trinity's voice was quiet but firm. "Is that what you think I'm doing?" Jess backpedaled quickly. "Oh, honey, I didn't mean it like that. I just want what's best for you. You're so talented, so special. I hate to see you stuck in a routine, that's all." Trinity was silent for a long moment. Then she stood up, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. "Thank you for dinner, Jess, but I think it's time for us to go." Jess's eyes widened in surprise. What? Trinity, I didn't mean to upset you. I'm just trying to be a good friend. Trinity shook her head. A good friend wouldn't try to make me doubt my choices or my marriage. Carl was right about you. My heart soared at Trinity's words. She'd seen through Jess's manipulation on her own. Jess turned to me, her expression hardening. What lies have you been telling her about me? I held up my hands. I haven't said anything. Trinity's smart enough to figure things out for herself. Trinity nodded. He's right. I've been ignoring it, making excuses, but I see it now. Every comment, every comparison, you've been trying to make me dissatisfied with my life, with my marriage. Why, Jess? I thought we were friends. Jess's face crumpled. For a moment, I saw a flicker of genuine emotion before her mask slipped back into place. We are friends, she insisted. I just wanted you to have everything. You deserve so much, Trinity. I didn't want you to miss out on anything. Trinity's voice was sad but resolute. The only thing I've been missing out on is appreciating what I have. Come on, Carl, let's go home. The car ride home was quiet but not uncomfortable. As we pulled into our driveway, Trinity finally broke the silence. I'm sorry, she said softly. You were right about Jess. I should have seen it sooner. I took her hand. Hey, no apologies needed. She was your friend. You wanted to believe the best of her. Trinity squeezed my hand. Still, I let her get into my head. I started doubting what we have, and that wasn't fair for you. Can you forgive me? I leaned over and kissed her gently. Already forgiven, but maybe we should talk about it. Trinity nodded. Yeah, I think we should. We spent hours that night talking, really talking, in a way we hadn't in months. Trinity admitted that Jess had played on her insecurities, making her wonder if she was missing out on something. I confessed my own fears and jealousies that had been building. Trinity revealed more about the things Jess had been saying when I wasn't around, how she'd constantly compared Trinity's life to her own, always framing it as concern. She'd said things like, "Oh, Trinity, don't you miss the excitement of dating the butterflies of a new relationship?" Trinity explained. Or she talked about how liberating it is to be single, how much personal growth she'd experienced. She made it sound like being married was holding me back somehow. I listened, feeling a mix of anger at Jess and relief that Trinity was finally seeing through her manipulation. I think, Trinity said slowly, that maybe we both got a little too comfortable. We stopped appreciating the good things we have. I nodded. You're right. Maybe we needed this wake-up call. We made some decisions that night. First and foremost, we agreed that Jess was no longer welcome in our lives. Trinity sent her a message the next day, calmly but firmly explaining why she was ending their friendship. Jess's response was a mix of denial, gaslighting, and guilt-tripping. But Trinity stood firm. She blocked Jess's number and social media accounts, closing that chapter of her life for good. More importantly, we committed to working on our marriage. We started having regular date nights again, trying new activities together. We set aside time each week to really talk about our feelings, our goals, our fears. It wasn't always easy. We had some tough conversations about things we'd both been avoiding, but it brought us closer than ever. We also made a pact to be more mindful of outside influences on our relationship. We agreed to talk to each other first if we had concerns, rather than discussing our relationship problems with others. Looking back now, I can almost be grateful for Jess's attempted sabotage. It forced us to confront issues we'd been ignoring and ultimately made our marriage stronger. Our marriage isn't perfect. We still have disagreements, still have days where we drive each other crazy. But now we face those challenges together with a new appreciation for what we have and a commitment to never take it for granted again. As for Jess, last time I heard she moved on to trying to help another friend with her marriage. I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. But mostly I'm just grateful that her misguided attempts to interfere in our lives ended up bringing Trinity and me closer than ever. If there's a lesson in all of this, I suppose it's this. Cherish what you have. Don't let other people's opinions or social media highlights reels make you doubt your own happiness. And if someone in your life seems intent on undermining your relationship, well, maybe it's time to take a good hard look at whether that person really has your best interest at heart. Trinity and I are happier now than we've ever been, not because our life suddenly became more exciting or glamorous, but because we learned to appreciate the life we built together. And really, isn't that what marriage is all about? Here are my thoughts about this story. Man, I've met some toxic people in my life, but this chick is up there at the top of the rankings. The way she slowly wormed her way into Trinity and Carl's life, dropping those little comments here and there, it's like watching a master manipulator at work. It's scary how subtle it was at first, just little things that don't seem like a big deal on their own, but add up over time. I gotta admit, there were moments when I wanted to reach through the screen and shake Trinity. Like, girl, can't you see what's happening? But then I caught myself because, let's be real, when you're in the middle of it, it's not always easy to spot, especially when it's coming from someone you trust, someone who's supposed to be your friend. And Carl, man, I felt for the guy. Watching your partner slowly change, start questioning everything about your life together, that's gotta be rough. I was sitting here like, dude, say something. But I get it. He was probably scared of coming off as jealous or controlling. It's a tough line to walk. But then, oh man, that moment when Trinity finally saw through Jess's BS, I was ready to punch something, anything. It was like watching the final battle in a movie where the hero finally defeats the villain. Except in this case, the villain was a toxic friend with some serious issues. Now, here's where I think the story was really shines. The aftermath. So many of these stories end with a dramatic confrontation, and that's it. But this one goes deeper. I loved how Carl and Trinity used this whole mess as a wake-up call to work on their relationship. That's some real mature stuff right there. And can we appreciate for a second how they handled it? No big dramatic showdown, no screaming matches, just a calm, firm goodbye to Jess and a commitment to each other. That's relationship goals right there, folks. Real life isn't a K-drama. You don't need a grand finale to conclude things cleanly. Reading this story got me thinking about my own relationships. Not just romantic ones, but friendships too. It's so easy to get caught up in comparing our lives to others, especially in this age of social media where everyone's posting their highlight reels. But this story is a good reminder to appreciate what we have, I think we'll all have that friend who's always talking about how great their life is, making us feel like we're somehow falling short. And maybe sometimes we've been that friend without realizing it. This story is a good wake-up call to check ourselves and make sure we're not accidentally tearing down the people we care about.
And now, guys, we will move on to the second story of the video. Please like the video if you have enjoyed it so far. The story starts like this.
My brother tried to blackmail me into giving him my life savings. My name's Kenneth, and up until a few months ago, I thought I had a pretty normal relationship with my older brother, Caden. We weren't super close, but we got along well enough. So I thought, looking back, I can see the red flags I missed over the years. But hindsight is 20/20, right? Anyway, it all started about 6 months ago. I've been working my butt off for years, living frugally and saving every penny I could. My goal was to eventually start my own small business, a little coffee shop in our hometown. I'd always loved the idea of having my own place, creating a warm, welcoming space for the community. After nearly a decade of scrimping and saving, I finally managed to put away about $100,000. It wasn't a fortune by any means, but it was enough to get my dream off the ground. I was so excited to finally be in a position to make it happen. One Friday evening, I was relaxing at home when I got a call from Caden. "Hey, little bro," he said, his voice oddly tense. "Can you come over? I need to talk to you about something important." I was a bit surprised. Caden wasn't usually one for serious talks, but I figured maybe he was having relationship troubles or something. "Sure," I replied. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. When I arrived at Caden's apartment, I could tell something was off right away. He was pacing back and forth, running his hands through his hair. He barely greeted me before launching into what seemed like a rehearsed speech. "Kenneth, I'm in trouble, big trouble," he began, his voice shaking slightly. "I owe some people a lot of money, dangerous people. If I don't pay them back soon, things could get really bad for me." I felt a sinking feeling in my stomach. Caden had always been a bit of a gambler, but I thought he had it under control. Clearly, I was wrong. "How much do you owe?" I asked, dreading the answer. Caden took a deep breath. "About $80,000. I nearly choked. $80,000? Caden, what the hell? How did you get in so deep? He launched into a convoluted story about bad bets, loan sharks, and desperation. I listened with growing horror, realizing just how serious the situation was. "I hate to ask this," Caden said, his eyes not quite meeting mine, "but I know you've been saving up. Is there any way you could help me out, just until I get back on my feet?" I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My life savings, the key to my dreams, and he wanted me to just hand it over? "Caden, I can't," I stammered. "That money is for my business. It's everything I've worked for." His face darkened. "So your stupid coffee shop dreams are more important than your brother's life?" he snapped. I was taken aback by his sudden anger. "That's not fair," I protested. "I'm sorry you're in trouble, but I can't just give you all my money. Maybe we can figure out another way to help you." Caden's expression changed then, from anger to something colder, more calculating. It sent a chill down my spine. "I was hoping you'd be more reasonable," he said quietly. "But if that's how you want to play it, fine. I guess I'll have to tell Mom and Dad about what happened at Cousin Sarah's wedding." My blood ran cold. The incident at Sarah's wedding was something I tried hard to forget. I'd gotten way too drunk and made a complete fool of myself, including saying some really horrible things to Sarah and her new husband. I'd apologized profusely afterwards, but the shame of it still haunted me. Our parents didn't know the full story. I managed to downplay it at the time. If they found out how bad it really was, they'd be devastated. "You wouldn't," I whispered, hardly able to believe what I was hearing. Caden's smile was cruel. "Try me. And that's not all I've got. Remember that fender bender you had last year? The one you told Dad was just a scratch? I've got pictures showing how bad it really was. Oh, let's not forget about that girl you dated in college. The one Dad hated. I'm pretty sure he'd be interested to know you're still in touch with her." I felt like the ground was crumbling beneath my feet. Caden had been collecting dirt on me for years, just wanting for a moment like this. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "It's simple," Caden replied. "Give me the money and all of this stays between us. Refuse and I start talking. Your choice, little brother." I left Caden's apartment in a daze, my mind reeling. How had things gone so wrong so quickly? I've always known Caden had a bit of a mean streak, but this? This was a whole new level of cruelty. Over the next few days, I was a mess. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time my phone buzzed, I jumped, thinking it was Caden with more threats. I kept going over my options in my head, but none of them seemed good. If I gave Caden the money, my dreams would be crushed. Years of hard work and sacrifice, gone in an instant. But if I didn't, the thought of my parents finding out about the wedding incident made me feel physically ill. And that was just the start. Who knew what other dirt Caden had on me? I considered going to the police, but what would they do? Caden hadn't actually done anything illegal yet. It was just threats, and involving the cops would probably just make him spill everything out of spite. After a week of agonizing, I decided I needed advice. I couldn't tell my parents, obviously, but I had a good friend who I thought might be able to help. He was a lawyer, and more importantly, someone I trusted completely. I invited him over and spilled the whole sordid story. To his credit, he listened without judgment, only asking a few clarifying questions. When I finished, he sat back with a thoughtful expression. "Kenneth, this is serious," he said finally. "What Caden is doing is blackmail, plain and simple. It's illegal and you shouldn't give in to it. But if I don't, he'll tell everyone everything, I protested. He leaned forward, his expression serious. Listen to me. If you give him the money now, it won't end there. He'll know he can manipulate you, and he'll keep coming back for more. This isn't about helping him out of a tough spot. It's about control. Deep down, I knew my friend was right, but the thought of standing up to Caden terrified me. What should I do? I asked, feeling utterly lost. He thought for a moment. First, we need to gather evidence. Do you have any texts or emails from Caden about this? I shook my head. He was careful. It was all in person or over the phone. Okay, that makes it trickier, but not impossible, he said. Here's what we're going to do. Over the next few days, he and I put together a plan. It was risky, but it was the only way I could see to get out of his mess without losing everything. The next time Caden called, I was ready. I agreed to meet him at a local park, saying I wanted to discuss his offer further. What Caden didn't know was that I had my phone on recording all the audio from our conversation. As we sat on a park bench, I tried to keep my voice steady. Okay, Caden, let's say I agree to give you the money. How do I know you won't just come back for more later? Caden smirked. Come on, Kenneth, I'm your brother. Don't you trust me? After what you've done? Not really, I replied. I want to be clear about what's happening here. You're blackmailing me, right? Threatening to reveal personal information if I don't give you my life savings? Don't be so dramatic, Caden scoffed. I'm just asking for a little help from my brother. But yeah, if you don't help me out, I might have to share some stories with the family. It's up to you. I took a deep breath. This was it. And if I give you the money, you'll destroy any evidence you have? No more threats? Sure, Caden said easily. Once I have the cash, you can pretend this never happened. I stood up. I need some time to think about it. I'll let you know my decision soon. As I walked away, my heart was pounding. Had we gotten enough? Would it be enough to stop Caden? I met up with my friend who had been waiting nearby. I showed him the recording, and he nodded grimly. We got it. It's not a slam dunk, but it's enough to take to the police if we need to. The next day, I called Caden and asked him to meet me at my apartment. When he arrived, his smug expression told me he thought he'd won. So, little brother, he said as he sprawled on my couch, made a decision yet? I took a deep breath. This was it. Yeah, I have, I replied. I'm not giving you the money, Caden, and you're not going to tell anyone anything. Caden's face darkened. I don't think you understand how this works, Kenneth. If you don't pay up, I'll start talking. Simple as that. I steeled myself and played a recording I had made in the park. As Caden listened to his own voice admitting to blackmail, the color drained from his face. You little bastard, he hissed when the recording finished. You set me up. I did what I had to do, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. Here's how this is going to work. You're going to leave here and never try to blackmail me again. If you do, if you breathe a word of anything to anyone, this recording goes straight to the police. And before you think about trying to get revenge some other way, a friend of mine has copies of everything. If anything happens to me, it all comes out. Caden was seething, but I could see the wheels turning in his head. He knew he was beaten. Fine, he spat. Keep your damn money, but don't expect any brotherly love from me ever again. As he stormed out of my apartment, I felt a mixture of relief and sadness. I'd won, but at what cost? The brother I thought I knew was gone, replaced by this angry, desperate stranger. Over the next few weeks, I waited anxiously for the other shoe to drop. Would Caden find some way to retaliate? Would he tell our parents anyway, just out of spite? But as time passed and nothing happened, I slowly began to relax. It seemed like Caden had decided to cut his losses and leave me alone. I threw myself into my business plans, more determined than ever to make my dream a reality. The experience with Caden had shown me how precious and fragile dreams can be, and I wasn't going to waste any more time. 3 months after the confrontation with Caden, I signed the lease on a small storefront downtown. As I stood in the empty space, imagining how it would look Filled with cozy chairs and the smell of fresh coffee, I felt a sense of pride and accomplishment I'd never experienced before. My phone buzzed with a text. It was from Caden. My heart raced as I opened it, fearing the worst, but the message wasn't what I expected. Heard you got the shop. Congrats. It wasn't much, but it was something. Maybe someday we could rebuild our relationship. But for now, I had a business to build and a life to live on my own terms. As I got to work planning my coffee shop, I couldn't help but reflect on everything that had happened. The whole ordeal with Caden had been a harsh wake-up call, showing me sides of both him and myself that I'd never seen before. I realized that I'd always seen Caden as my cool older brother, someone to look up to and emulate, but the reality was far different. He'd been manipulating me for years, collecting information to use against me. It made me question every interaction we'd ever had. Had any of it been genuine? At the same time, I had surprised myself with my own strengths. I'd always thought of myself as the peacekeeper, the one who avoided conflict at all costs. But when pushed to the brink, I'd found the courage to stand up for myself and my dreams. The next few months were a whirlwind of activity as I worked to get my coffee shop up and running. There were times when the stress felt overwhelming, dealing with permits, hiring staff, choosing suppliers, but every time I felt like giving up, I reminded myself of what I've overcome to get here. If I could stand up to Caden's blackmail, I could handle anything. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of preparation, it was time for the grand opening. As I stood behind the counter watching customers stream in, I felt a sense of pride and accomplishment that I'd never experienced before. My parents were there, beaming with pride. They'd been surprised when I first told them about my plans. They've always seen me as the safe one, not the entrepreneur type, but they'd supported me every step of the way, even helping out with some last-minute painting and decorating. As the day went on, I found myself constantly glancing at the door, half expecting Caden to walk in. Part of me hoped he would, that we could start to mend our relationship, but another part was relieved when closing time came and he hadn't shown up. That night, as I locked up the shop for the first time, I felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. I'd done it. Despite everything, I'd made my dream a reality. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Caden. Place looks good. Maybe I'll stop by sometime. I stared at the message for a long time, unsure how to feel. It wasn't an apology, not even close, but it was something. A tiny olive branch, maybe? I thought about ignoring it, about cutting Caden out of my life completely, but in the end, I typed out a reply. Thanks, you're welcome anytime. I didn't know if Caden would ever take me up on the offer. I didn't know if we'd ever be able to rebuild the trust that had been shattered. But I did know one thing. I was stronger now. Whatever came next, I could handle it. As I drove home, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. The road ahead might be uncertain, but I was on the path I'd chosen for myself, and that made all the difference. Over the next year, my coffee shop became a staple in the community. It wasn't always easy. There were slow days, equipment breakdowns, and the occasional difficult customer. But every challenge I faced felt manageable compared to what I've been through with Caden. I threw myself into making the shop the best it could be. I got to know my regular customers by name, hosted local artists for live music nights, and even started a book club that met in the shop once a month. Slowly but surely, my tiny business became more than just a coffee shop. It was a gathering place, a home away from home for many in our town. Caden and I remained distant during this time. He'd stop by the shop occasionally, usually during off hours when it wasn't busy. Our interactions were polite but strained, neither of us quite sure how to bridge the gap that had formed between us. One quiet Tuesday afternoon, about 18 months after the grand opening, Caden came in just before closing time. I was wiping down tables, getting ready to close up for the day. Hey, he said, his voice uncharacteristically hesitant. Got a minute? I nodded, gesturing to a nearby table. We sat down, an awkward silence stretching between us. Finally, Caden spoke. I've been doing a lot of thinking, he began, about what happened, about everything, and I'm sorry, Kenneth. I was in a bad place, but that's no excuse for what I did to you. It was wrong, and I'm truly sorry. I was stunned. In all our years growing up together, I'd never heard Caden apologize like this. It took me a moment to find my voice. Thank you for saying that, I replied carefully. It means a lot to hear it. Caden nodded, looking around the shop. You've done really well here, he said. I'm proud of you, even if I haven't shown it. We talked for a while longer, cautiously at first, but gradually becoming more open. Caden told me about the steps he'd taken to get his gambling addiction under control, including joining a support group and going to therapy. I shared stories about the shop, the challenges, and triumphs of the past year. As we said goodbye that night, I felt a glimmer of hope. Our relationship would never be the same as it was before, but maybe, just maybe, we could build something new, something better, based on honesty and mutual respect. Over the next few months, Caden became a more regular presence at the shop. He'd stop by for coffee, sometimes trying to chat when it wasn't busy. Slowly, we began to rebuild our relationship. It wasn't always easy. There were times when old resentments flared up, when the memory of what he'd done made it hard for me to trust him. But we worked at it one day at a time. 1 year to the day after Caden's apology, I used the money he'd given me to launch a new program at the shop. It offered job training and employment opportunities to people recovering from addiction. It was my way of turning what had almost been a tragedy into something positive. The journey wasn't easy, and there were times when I thought I'd lose everything. But in the end, I didn't just save my dream. I made it bigger and better than I'd ever imagined. And as for Caden and me, we're still working on it. Our relationship isn't perfect, but it's real in a way it never was before. We've both grown, both learned valuable lessons about honesty, integrity, and the true meaning of family. Looking back, I realized that what Caden tried to do was never really about the money. It was about power, about control. By standing up to him, I didn't just save my savings. I saved myself. I proved that I was stronger than I knew, that I could face my fears and come out on top. As I locked up the shop that night, I took a moment to appreciate how far I've come, from the brink of losing everything to building a thriving business and mending a broken relationship. It's been quite a journey. I know there will be more challenges ahead. Running a business isn't easy, and rebuilding trust takes time, but I'm ready for whatever comes next, because now I know that no matter what life throws at me, I have the strength to stand my ground and fight for what matters. And really, that knowledge is worth more than any amount of money in the world. Here are my thoughts about the story. So let's break this down, because there's a lot to unpack here. First off, can we talk about Caden for a second? I mean, what kind of person collects dirt on their own brother for years, just waiting for the right moment to use it? It's like he was playing the long game all along, and poor Kenneth had no idea. If I was in Kenneth's position, my trust issues would have been stretching further than the skyline. My own brother doing that to me? Oh, hell no. But here's the thing that really got me, the way Kenneth handled it. I'll be honest, at first, I was screaming at my screen, "Don't give him the money, you idiot." But Kenneth surprised me. He didn't just roll over and give in, but he also didn't just tell Caden to get lost. He got smart about it. That move with the recording, genius. I mean, it's straight out of a spy movie or something. And the fact that he had the guts to go through with it, that takes some serious determination, especially when you're dealing with family. Though I do have to caution some people that in some countries and states, that's illegal without the consent of the person being recorded. Just a word of warning here before anyone goes and does anything illegal. Consult a lawyer, everyone. But now, back to the story. I mean, I've read a lot of stories about family drama, but this one hits different. It's not just about the money or the blackmail. It's about trust and how easily it can be broken. And more importantly, it's about standing up for yourself, even when it's scary as hell. I gotta say, the part that really got me was when Kenneth opened his coffee shop. You could almost smell the fresh coffee and feel the pride coming off the page. It's like, despite everything, he managed to make his dream come true. And isn't that what we're all trying to do? But let's talk about the ending for a sec. Caden coming back, apologizing, trying to make amends. I'll be real with you. I was skeptical at first. I mean, can you really come back from trying to blackmail your own brother? But the way Kenneth handled it, man, that's a maturity you don't see too often. You know, it's easy to hold a grudge, to be petty, to make the road well-traveled. Hell, I probably would have told Caden to take a long walk off a short pier. But Kenneth took the high road. He didn't just forgive and forget, because let's be real, you can't just forget something like that. But he gave Caden a chance to prove himself. I kind of respect it. And that new program he made, talk about turning lemons into lemonade. Kenneth took this horrible thing that almost happened to him and used it to help other people. That's the kind of stuff that restores my faith in humanity, you know? Now, if only there were more stories like this out there, might cure the nihility that's been eating everyone up like nobody's business.
Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again tomorrow.